Welcome everyone to the information session for our large language models bootcamp. And also today I will also be talking about the long-awaited online offering. So we will be giving out more information about that. So let's get started. A little bit about data science dojo. We have been in this business for quite some time. We've been training a lot of companies, more than 3,000 companies on our portfolio. In our portfolio, we have taught people from pretty much any industry you can imagine, any background, any level of experience, ranging from high school students all the way to VPs and directors and CEOs and founders of companies. 11,000 graduates from all over the world in different trainings, ranging from, once again, very hardcore technical trainings to trainings for data science and machine learning trainings for non-technical backgrounds or maybe semi-technical backgrounds, all the way to leadership, talking to them about strategy and hiring and their data and analytics strategy. So quite a bit of experience. And here we are with our newest offering, which is the Large Language Models Bootcamp. So we will talk about that. There is some reality that is happening on the social media. And I actually, even in the previous wave of machine learning and data science, so, there are a lot of people posting about, pockets of things. I built this, I built that. On toy data sets, the toy data sets and sites like Kaggle, with all due respect, I mean, so they have a contribution, but they make things look very trivial. Real world data science is very different from Kaggle, right? Or your Iris data set and your UCI repository data sets. Similarly, in this wave of large language models, there is a lot of interesting ideas around summarization, content generation, and all the code generation and co-pilots. In the age of that, sometimes we actually start to believe that AI is taking over the world. However, building an LLM application, it is actually incredibly hard. You have to take care of a lot of things to make an application work. We have interacted with so we are probably the only training company in this space, machine learning and now large language models. That is also, we are not purely a training company. We are also a services and product company. What that does is we know what we're talking about, what we are teaching. It is not just some slides. It is actually a gist, our experience distilled into a course module. For instance, we have interacted with a lot of companies recently. Many companies, they want to build an LLM application. We help them building that application. Some companies, they are stuck at the POC stage. They thought that, well, all you need is in OpenAI or Hugging Face or Cohere or any of those foundation model APIs, foundation LLMs, and that's about it. But when they start using these applications, they realize, well, how do you keep the costs under control? How about if your documents are growing, they are becoming too big? What about the regulatory challenges, right? So how do you keep the data safe? How do you make sure that a file or a document that I should have access to in that organization and others should not have access to, how do you prevent that information being accidentally exposed? Not all applications are created equal. You may have some inference latencies, right? So you want the application to respond quickly, or in some cases, it may not matter. How do you handle data governance? Do you go for open source or other proprietary models? The results are not reproducible. So there are challenges. I can keep going around that, right? So you don't know how to evaluate, right? So, and prompts are brittle, right? So a small even a small empty space, for those of you who have some idea how LLMs work, even an extra period at the end, or a next line character, or a small space, or a different rephrasing of the same query, it results in the prompts being broken. So this is actually hard, and many companies, they initially think that it is not as hard, but they eventually realize, no, I mean, this is tough. We built these solutions over the last 1 year, and that's probably by far the most experience that any company can get. I mean, barring some of the bigger companies that have been actually working, doing some foundational work in this space. That's pretty much, I mean, we have been building these models, and the curriculum has been designed by practitioners to turn other people into practitioners. That's the intent. I'm happy to answer any questions along the way. Please ask your questions. If you're on attending a live stream on LinkedIn or Facebook or YouTube or Twitter, ask your question there. It is going to be directed to me. If you are on the Zoom call, please ask your question in the Q&A, and I'm going to answer the questions as they appear here. What is this bootcamp about? This bootcamp is going to teach you how to build applications on enterprise data, period, right? So building a model on a single PDF, that does not matter. It's very different from building a large language model application on your entire repository of documents in your enterprise, maybe a few thousand documents. Some need to be, some are bigger documents, smaller documents, different formats, audios, videos, PDFs, and Word files, Excel sheets, different intents, different departments. How do you build something that actually encompasses all of those, plus the other issues that I talked about just moments ago? We cover this is by far the most comprehensive curriculum. Actually, we are the only bootcamp in industry at the moment. So, I mean, and on top of that, it is also comprehensive. We cover majority of the mainstream tools that matter, right? So, for instance, at this point, let's say in prompt engineering, orchestration type work, we use LangChain, right? And someone may ask, right, so what about Llama index or semantic kernel, right? So we believe in the idea that it is the skill that matters. Tools are merely tools, right? So we start with one tool. We give you that skill on one tool. Embeddings, we mainly use OpenAI, but if you are a Cohere fan, or if you are an Anthropic or any other proprietary models fan, great. I mean, you're more than welcome to use that. But our idea is to teach you the entire stack without worrying about a specific tool or technology. We focus on techniques, tools you can decide based on your own organizational constraint. The bootcamp is very intense and hands-on. Everything is followed by some discussion, followed by a practical exercise. And then at the end of it's a 5-day bootcamp. On the last day of the bootcamp, we have a practical project that all of you will be undertaking. The bootcamp actually covers, let me actually move a few windows around. The bootcamp cost actually covers software credit for pretty much any of your needs, thanks to some of our partners and sponsors. More partner announcements coming in the next few days. They actually, with their help and our own, resources, we actually make sure that all you need is a laptop. You come in and attend the bootcamp, and we take care of your token cost and GPU cloud, any fine tuning, any infrastructure, and I will show you all of that in a moment. We take care of all of that. Lots of code samples, lot of examples, guest speakers, etc. I will explain that. We invite real people, real industry experience, folks that will come in and talk about some of the challenges, and having been in this industry for some time, I'm a big fan of actually taking it beyond the technology, right? So there are cultural challenges, right? So we have talks around you built an LLM and well, your organization does not want to use it, or maybe when you were building this LLM, you had some cultural issues and you did not have access to data, or there is, of course, technical issues are going to be there in the first place. But it's more well-rounded experience from guest speakers as opposed to just strictly focusing on well only technology. I mean, that's not where the real impact actually lies. Yes, it is important, but technology is means to an end. And we talk about all of these, and what else? I'm going to go over the curriculum. I will start with the curriculum. Then I will show you our learning infrastructure. We have a very detailed, very well thought out learning infrastructure, improving every day. I will show you a few past customers and, well, any other logistics and answer any question. So this is, think of this as a reference architecture. Depending upon what kind of application you're building, who you are, you will see something like this. These are the different components. Don't be intimidated by this. It may sound intimidating, but by the end of the bootcamp, not only that you will understand this entire infrastructure or this architecture rather, not only that you will understand the architecture, but you will also have a good understanding of some components within each of these blocks, so you can go back and start building your own applications. For instance, right? So we are going to be talking about, let me actually zoom in a little bit. So we are going to be talking about some LLMs. Of course, we cannot cover every single LLM under the sun, but we will cover, for instance, from open source side, we actually use Llama 2, and then from the proprietary side, we use OpenAI. So once we understand this, that's not all you need for building LLM applications. You need vector databases. So we will do our exercises on one of the vector databases. This is each space. It is very crowded. Each of these technology, it's very crowded. Multiple players competing for their own share. We'll cover one of them, explain to you what matters, so you can make your own decisions based on your own specific needs. Then there are other things, vector databases, we'll talk about them. We'll talk about caching, semantic caching. Semantic caching is the idea of caching because the token limits, token costs are incredibly high. So sometimes you may want to cache the queries and all of that. We'll talk about those things. We'll talk about logging, LLM ops, evaluation, etc. How do you actually build a pipeline where you evaluate your responses, toxicity of prompts, whether the responses are correct or not. Are the responses, are they within the scope of what they were meant for, preventing prompt jacking, jailbreaking of prompts. We talk about all of those issues. An important piece in this entire bigger picture is orchestration. For the lack of a better word, I mean, call it prompt engineering, call it, setting up your overall framework. But, I know some may be skeptical about why am I calling it orchestration, but for the lack of better name, it is what it is. So for instance, right, so we will get into LangChain and I will show you the curriculum. We'll get into the detail of LangChain. How do you build a robust LLM application or RAG application using LangChain? How do you create embeddings, all the issues around that, and so on. I mean, I can spend a lot of time, but you're not here to attend the bootcamp. This is just an information session. So let me actually, I'm sorry, this is, just allow me to, okay, I will come back and slideshow more. So curriculum overview. What do we have? So a prerequisite, as long as you can write some code in Python, you are good. A background in machine learning, classic machine learning, yeah, it would be helpful, but it is not required. Even if you don't know Python, and as long as you can code and you work in this data space, you are fine. Um, and I will show you the learning infrastructure that will actually give you an idea why do I think that you will be fine. But even if you don't know Python programming, you know any other programming language, we can actually teach you Python. We have some pre-training tutorials that we will give you. This is the technology stack. The slide needs an update. We will actually be adding one or two more. We have some new partners that we are finalizing that we'll be adding here. So where do we start? We'll start with the foundations, basically what are neural networks, deep learning, generally encoder, decoder, transformer architectures, diffusion-based models, etc., just a general lay of the land. Then we also talk about embeddings and vector databases, right? So embeddings and vector databases, they go hand in hand. You first create these semantic embeddings. But before we talk about semantic embeddings, let's talk about the classic way of text encoding, call them embeddings, one hot, count-based, TF-IDF, n-grams. So basically, we understand the historical evolution of how embeddings have evolved over time. So you can appreciate what's special about GPT and what's special about some of the modern semantic approaches to embedding. Now, once you know the embeddings, how do you store these embeddings for efficient retrieval? You're talking about maybe tens of millions, if not hundreds of millions, of maybe possibly billions of embeddings. And how do you actually make sure that you store them efficiently and retrieve them efficiently? All of these followed by hands-on exercises, which I will show you shortly. What do those hands-on exercises look like? Then we will be talking about semantic search, and then also talking about hybrid search. Semantic search is, well, simplest example, king and queen. They are not related lexically. King is a different word, queen is a different word. So your traditional search, lexical search, it might miss if there is a king of Netherlands and queen of Amsterdam, right? So Amsterdam, Netherlands, they are related to each other semantically, but not lexically. So traditionally, our search has been lexical. Now we are actually going more into semantics. So in the sense of meaning, are they similar words or not? And then there is a concept of hybrid search where both actually are used in conjunction with each other. So we talk in detail about why do you need hybrid search? There is all this buzz around semantic search, but you still need hybrid search. You still need lexical search, and then hybrid search is actually what creates this nice, I would say, nice blend of both to build a more robust application. Prompt engineering. Prompt engineering is actually not very challenging from a technology standpoint, but at the same time, it takes a lot of creativity and problem-solving skills. So, and that's where you will be spending a lot of time. Of course, we will be spending time there. We'll get into LangChain as well. LangChain and Llama Index, being the top players in this evolving space. We will actually look at all the possible, a lot of different variations or a lot of different scenarios where LangChain can be used. Then we'll go ahead and learn how to deploy applications that involve LangChain, autonomous agents within LangChain, observability and evaluation. So let's say you have built the model. How do you actually go and observe the model for the right performance? Your token consumption, in general, the monitoring in terms of consumption, in terms of cost, in terms of behavior, in terms of safety, in terms of privacy. How do you actually do that? Yes, I mean, if it is a toy application or if it is a course project, well, who cares, right? But when it is an enterprise application, you have to actually build it in a way that you're not exposed legally. So your exposure legally and regulatory exposure is minimal. So we actually talk about all of those issues. Then we also do fine tuning, and we are going to be building Actually, this slide needs an update. Arham and Ramin, if you can please take a note. This slide needs an update. But we actually, this is your homework, but in class, we actually deploy a Llama 2, 7 billion parameter model, a 4-bit quantized model. We will first start with this, what is quantization, what is low rank adaptation, what is QLoRa, what is transfer learning and all of that. So we actually talk about fine tuning in detail. And then we fine tune a model on a data set that we have published on Hugging Face. You download a 7B model from Hugging Face. We give you the GPU cloud. The GPU cloud is included in the registration fee. You don't have to actually you don't have to worry about paying the cloud bills because that's included in the registration fee. We also will be talking about building enterprise-grade applications. So enterprise applications, they are much more than just using technology. You have to worry about the security of the documents and the chunks that you create in the process of building your RAG application. Your cost management, costs add up, right? So once something is widespread, something is used broadly, there is costs can go out of hand. Cloud infrastructure optimization, and then we also discuss what are the recommended RAG architectures for enterprise-grade LLM applications. So still, this field is evolving. It's a fascinating area. So we are also building a product. We are also helping other companies build their own RAG architecture. So it's fascinating how quickly this field is evolving, and new things are coming up. It's brand new. Many challenges are out there in the open. You discuss that challenge 2 weeks later. Someone says, "Hey, we are providing this," right? So, for instance, right. So maybe I can give you an example, right? Multi-query retrieval, right? So what if the user is asking the query poorly, right? So the query is poorly phrased. Should we just go and submit that? No. There are actually frameworks now that actually allow you to create versions of the query. So, I mean, maybe I don't know how to ask a question, but I actually alter the query. Query alteration it's a long known problem in retrieval. So all of those things, we run into some issues and we find out, hey, someone else has been actually working on it, and they have released some open source package for that. Then at the end, on the last day of this bootcamp, you will be actually building your own LLM application, a RAG application. And once again, for the way this works is, we have streamlined the process very much so anyone can attend. So even if you're not, you don't know web development, if you're not one of the best developers, we give you the boilerplate cookie cutter, some code, and we give you exercises so you can, as long as you can read and maybe make minor changes to the code, you will be able to keep up. And then depending upon your coding ability, you will be able to actually make a lot of changes. So so we enable you, empower you, give you everything. And depending upon your coding ability, you have all the option to actually modify the code if you like, or you can just go with whatever we provided you. We've had people who had minimal background in coding, and they just did just fine. And as I said, you will see in a moment why. And we have had people from big companies. These are the companies we very recently started, and these are the companies that have already attended our training. So you can see some recognizable names. Some of them are actually returning customers. They attended our data science bootcamp a few years ago. They knew the quality that we offer in our trainings. We make sure that everyone learns, and they learn it well. And they learn not just the technology side of it, but the business and the more nuances of cultural nuances as well. So it's a very interesting experience. These are our partners. These are some of our partners at the moment, and these are key players in the respective spaces out there. Let me actually go and show you some of the infrastructure. So all of us, Arham, is the learning platform visible to you on the screen, if you can confirm? Or if someone else can confirm.
Yes, Roger, it's visible.
Okay, thank you. So if you can see, we have, this is our learning platform. This is a companion learning platform to uh, the in-person bootcamp. We also have an online bootcamp or online courses that are coming up. I will talk about that in a moment. But if you look at this, you will have access to this platform. And let's say we start with embeddings, evolution of text embeddings. We have our discussion, and after the discussion, we are going to actually go and start with this exercise. And once you click on this, it is it is integrated into our learning platform. All you have to do is, you don't have to install anything. You're more than welcome to do it on your own, but we don't waste time actually in installation, and we don't waste time in setting up libraries and resolving conflicts, because that's not what we are here for. We are here for actually, learning about embeddings in this case, right? So you can see that, you run. You start from here. You can see that we talk through this. We discuss these ideas. Then we move on to attention mechanisms. Same thing. When I go there, you can see sentence transformers, attention mechanism, attention scoring. We move on to vector databases. When you go there, let me click on this. We use Redis at the moment. And then you will see Redis is a partner for this bootcamp. And then we go there. You can see that we give you a vector database in the cloud. It is already deployed. You create some embeddings, and we walk through this course. We are understanding what is going on. So it's very, very hands-on. Also, don't get me wrong, it's not purely hands-on. We actually first talk in depth about, what is a vector database? Why do you need it? What kind of indexing there is? What kind of distance measures there are? How do you optimize the index? And so on. So we talk about all the theoretical aspects. And then once we have covered the theoretical aspects, we will go to all the practical aspects, or maybe more the implementation side of it. And if you look at this, all of these things, each of these modules, they have their respective, each of the modules have their respective course material and practical exercises. LangChain module was, it is so big that we have, it's a separate module. It's out of the main flow here. So in this case, we talk about model IO, retrieval, chains, memory, agents, and callbacks, for instance. And these all exercises will be done in class. Let's say if you're talking about, let's say we are talking about, let me go to chains, right? So if I go to chains, when I go here, we'll discuss what are simple sequential chains. And we click on this. After we have discussed, we'll show you, what does a chain mean? I mean, maybe for those of you who don't know what a chain is, in many cases, your LLM query is a sequence of steps that you have to take. It's not a one shot, or a single one shot is a wrong term to use because of some confusion it might create. But it's not something that you do in single go. Your response, maybe it's a 3-step response that your model should be taking. And then the second step depends upon the first step, and the third step depends upon the second and the first step, right? So very much like, if you look at it, it makes your LLM application more contextual. And then, you may have agents, right? So you want to do a Google search before you actually respond to me. So, agents and tools, self-ask with search, you want to include Wikipedia in your responses. You want to include, some website in your responses. You want to include Google or Bing in your responses. So you can see that, some of these examples are there. Let me run this. I don't have the API key handy, but we'll give you API keys, and you will plug in those API keys here. And when you plug in the API keys, and then take and run this, this will right now it is going to, of course, throw an error because it does not have the API key encoded. But that is the idea here. Let me actually let me see. I see some. Let me see some questions. I will take the questions. I see some questions there. I will take the questions. What else? Let me see if I missed anything. So we have our in-person bootcamp happening in Seattle. If you are based in the Seattle area, we are doing a 5-day bootcamp starting January 29th. It is a fairly intense, very intense experience. You start daily. We have breakfast. We serve breakfast in the morning, and coffee, tea, everything. It's taken care of it for you. Lunch is taken care of for you. You come in, and then you spend an entire day actually learning, practicing, learning, practicing, learning, practicing, and so on. And you spend 5 days. We have a networking dinner again that is on us. It is an experience. I enjoy it. Actually, personally, I enjoy it a lot because you get to meet interesting people. We have people coming from out of the country. We have definitely people coming from out of Seattle for sure. People there who are coming in. So it's a great experience. We'll have guest speakers coming in from other places. Some people dialing remotely. 2 or 3 speakers they will dial remotely. They will talk about their experience building LLM. So basically, mostly classroom exercises, classroom activity discussions. And the quality of the people is actually what I like the most about it. I was actually surprised in the first cohort. This is our 4th cohort. The first cohort that we announced, pretty much everyone who came in actually, they were it should not discourage, by the way, other people who are not actually practitioners yet. But a lot of people who came in, they had already been working on this, and their insights and their input and feedback was actually very, very valuable. We had some people coming in from Microsoft support. They had already started building these models, but well, they were they wanted to improve those applications, right? So we had people from other companies. Dun and Bradstreet, I remember, they had done it, and then a few other companies. They already had working systems internally, but they wanted to take it to the next level. So there is different. You will see a diversity of people coming from different disciplines. Some have sales scenarios, some have customer support scenarios, some have learning scenarios, maybe online tutoring type scenarios. So people come in with different use cases, and you get a lot of exposure in terms of what is possible out there. I will pause here, and then I'm going to take questions just for a moment. Let me see, just a moment. I will come back and look at the Q&A. Okay. Just give me a moment. Okay, so there is, let me see. So Sashi, your question is if you can attend the bootcamp online. No, actually, our in-person bootcamps, you cannot attend the in-person bootcamp online because it creates a friction, and it will not be actually the most optimal experience for neither for you, and also not for the people sitting in the bootcamp in person. But I will show you in a moment. We are announcing the online versions of the course, and then I will explain that. But I think we are more than happy to actually talk to you and then understand what you're trying to do. Then there is a question. about, let me see. Will the slides be available after this presentation? I believe they will be. Uh, there is you have to request the slides because we cannot, of course, send it out in public. I mean, there is a link that you have to actually request, and my team should be placing that link in somewhere in the chat or in social media or somewhere in the social media chat. I know one of you has sent me a one-on-one message, one of the attendees who is already registered for yes, I mean, Venkat, we will be sharing the slide deck with you. That should not be a problem. And then your other question about content personalizer, maybe I will explain it to you. But it is, think about this, I mean, hyper-personalized recommendations, right? So, right now the recommendations are based on, hey, people who bought this may also buy this, or, people who um, people like you, right? But hyper personalization is actually more about this more like a session information. So we have different variations of the project, and Venkat, maybe whenever you on the first day, we will actually talk, I'm happy to actually see what kind of projects you would like to get involved in. We have some cookie cutter projects that we actually give. The reason being is it's a classroom at the end of the day. And if we become too vague and too ambitious and too audacious about the project, it never ends well. But if you are someone, because we don't know the skill level, your motivation, how hard can you work? Can you stay up all night if need be? We don't know you. So we have some manageable projects that most people can handle. But if you are very ambitious, we will actually have things for you that you can pursue during the bootcamp. Then let me see. Will the slides be available after this presentation? Yes, Lawrence. Yes, we will make them available. There is more question. Prompt engineering is new to the market. What is the scope in this field? So Mahad, I mean, I'm known to be a straight shooter. Let me put it this way: don't go for things just for the scope of it. I mean, I actually can tell you, it is absolutely, absolutely fascinating. I spend hours and hours working with my team, like daily. I have meetings, and then you can't get something right, and you're coming up with very clever ways of prompt engineering. So yes, I mean, there is a lot of opportunity, but I would put it this way: how about I love the work that I'm doing? How about I enjoy it? And success and career progression and money, it's going to happen, right? Definitely there is a lot of opportunity in prompt engineering, but I would start with, it's fascinating, right? So I can tell you, I absolutely enjoy the work on the practical side that I do, and and yes, but what is the scope of this field? I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's good, right? So you mean okay? By scope, I meant how well it stands as compared to developing LLMs. You cannot develop an LLM application without being a good prompt engineer. Period. So it goes hand in hand. It is not something competing. It is rather a skill that is required. It is a prerequisite for you to build a solid LLM application. I hope that answers your question. Okay. Are there any other questions? Let me see. And okay, so going back to our online offering, we talked about that. So if I go to our online offering, we have announced our online offering. I can give you a high-level idea what we have in the online offering. What do we have in our up our sleeve? I mean, we are actually, hold on, what happened here? Did we remove this or? Okay, was I think we. I think there was some changes to the web page. I'm not sure because it was here. I'm sorry about that. But I can tell you what we are doing here is we are going to be actually launching courses. There's going to be a few different courses. And we are going to be launching a few different courses. The in-person bootcamp is a 40-hour experience. Of course, we cannot straight 5 days, by the way, right? So we cannot actually have an in-person experience straight for 5 days, or rather in-person, or rather virtual experience, online experience for 5 straight days, 8 or 9 hours a day. We can't do that. So what do we do then? We have decided is that we will have separate courses, day-long courses, 6 to 8 hours a day, about 8 hours a day. And then we will, the first course is happening around mid-January, mid to late January, rather mid to late February. We will start with LangChain. We'll have a course in all of the LangChain. Then we will have all topics in LangChain and prompt engineering. So that would be our first course. Then we have another course coming up on observability and evaluation. We'll cover all the security, safety, and governing your model aspects of it, privacy, etc. Then we will also have a course in RAG, retrieval augmented generation. As you can expect, in this we will be covering prompt engineering, vector databases, hybrid search, and building RAG applications. We will also have a course on fine-tuning. In fine-tuning, we are going to be covering all the aspects of fine-tuning, and then building a fine-tuned model, and then evaluating the fine-tuned model. Right now in our bootcamp, I may have mentioned that we actually build a fine-tuned Llama 2 7B 4-bit quantized model. And then we also have other exercises if you want to do the same in SageMaker. If you want to do the same in OpenAI, we have exercises for that. But of course, in class, we only cover one. And then we go and evaluate. We talk about low-rank adaptation and all of that, right? So that would be another course. So what we have decided is we are going to break this down as separate chunks of courses. About 6 to 8 hour courses, and we will break it down into 5 to 6 courses. So that is the plan. I should have mentioned somewhere that sometimes people ask whether there is a certificate with that or not. Yes, of course. University of New Mexico is our partner. University of New Mexico Continuing Education, they are our academic partner. So you will be getting a certificate from the University of New Mexico with 5 continuing education credits. Your certificate is going to be actually registered in the registrar office there, right? So we have an academic partnership with them. So it is actually backed by a university out there. What else? Regarding our learning platform, I think I should also, maybe I did not mention, our learning platform actually has a lot more resources than actually what many people can actually even manage to do in a month, manage to actually leverage. So if you look at this, we have these sandboxes. If I go to sandbox here, machine learning with Python, now if I go and search for clustering, right? So, and now if I search, just a random, we have hundreds of code samples like this. And if you want to learn other topics, we make it easy for you. We think that our job is not to teach you every single thing out there. Our job is to enable you, inspire you, and give you the right direction, and give you the minimum amount of knowledge that's the critical mass that you can actually start from there and learn. So these tools, these resources are going to be at your disposal for at least 1 year after you have attended the bootcamp. And then there's a lot more resources that are out there. We also have a class Discord group that and the community that we create. You become part of that community, so that's there. What else? I see more questions here. I guess I think that's pretty much it from my side. There is, let me see, how can we compare OpenAI models with other models and convey the pros and cons? Same to business, both technical and run cost. So there is this question about comparing OpenAI models with other models. Well, it is a very, very difficult question to answer. I can pretend that I understand all of this. I can give you my general thoughts, and you can take it for whatever it take the insights that you want to take out of it. I think there is an overemphasis on the number of tokens help you, the number of parameters help you, but the bigger model is not always a better model. There is this whole wave of small language models. If for those of you who have not heard of those, small language models are also appearing. They are becoming popular because at the end of the day, OpenAIs of the world or OpenAIs of the world and Anthropics of the world and Llama 2s of the world, they may make you think that, well, it's the model, but it is actually at the end of the day, data is still the king. Data is still the garbage in, garbage out principle. It is still relevant. So to that end, you may be better off for a very domain specific scenario that you have, instead of a 100 billion or 200 billion parameters model, you maybe have a 2 billion or 3 billion parameters model. And if it is built on a custom data set, you are better off with that any day. Possibly you're better off with that model than building using a very complex model. So I cannot compare them, any of the models really, unless I know what you're comparing against, right? So I had a meeting with a soon-to-be partner. They are building LLMs specifically from ground up. They are building LLMs that are specific to customer support and sales scenario. So if your model is designed in a way that that attacks a specific problem, you can't go wrong with that, right? So of course, the assumption is that the model has been built well. So what I'm trying to say is, there is a lot of hype. There is a lot of buzz around it. Hey, someone came up with more parameters and more token limits. All that tells you is, well, it has more parameters or it can handle more tokens. But whether it handles them well or not, that's a different story. So it's, and that's, I call it the curse of social media, right? So, social media, anyone can just go and start posting, hey, what does it cost? What do I need to know to post, right? So read something from here, read something from there, and post it, and then pretend that I'm all knowledgeable. But the reality is that a lot of these answers are not absolute. Anyone who has been building these solutions, they will never give you absolute answers. Depends is still the answer. So it depends what you're trying to do. A domain-specific model, a smaller model is better. Llama 2 may work. If you have customized it, OpenAI may not work. If you have not customized it, or the other way around, or a completely different model, Mixtral came in with this ensemble type model. They are talking about benchmarks. Of course, I have skepticism there. It's there's a product and there's product marketing, and you should have enough skill to actually discern what is the actual product and what is product marketing. I'm sorry, this is my honest answer. I will not mislead you if I don't think that one is better than the other. I think a lot of it depends upon how you use it and how well you understand your business problem, as opposed to the model itself. It's as much of a function of the model as much of a function of how well you understand your problem. So I hope this does not look like a very complicated or maybe I'm not evading responses or I'm not avoiding responses. Okay. Okay. I am happy to take any other questions. If not, this was it. Please reach out to us. The team has posted a few URLs. Just reach out to us if we can answer any questions. Thank you, everyone. And I hope to see you in one of the trainings in coming days and weeks.